The Shadow of Hollowbrook. In the heart of the old town of Hollowbrook stood a decaying mansion known to all as Crowhurst Manor. Abandoned for decades, its shattered windows resembled empty eyes, watching anyone brave enough to pass by. Every Halloween, stories would swirl about the house, of strange figures seen at the windows, and lights flickering inside when no one was there. This year, 4 teenagers, Ellie, Marcus, Sarah, and Tom, decided to explore the manor. They had heard all the tales, how people who entered never returned, and how sometimes at midnight you could hear the laughter of children echoing through its cold, empty halls. But like many before them, they didn't believe a word of it. On Halloween night, under a full moon, they made their way to the front door. The air was heavy, and the house seemed to breathe with each gust of wind. As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them, as if the house had swallowed them whole. The first thing they noticed was the cold. It was unnaturally chilly, like the air itself was watching them. Their flashlights barely pierced the darkness, casting long, distorted shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Every creak of the floor seemed louder, and every corner felt like it hid something, just out of sight. As they moved deeper into the manor, they came across strange things. Child-sized footprints in the dust, an old doll that seemed to have moved from where they'd last seen it, and whispers they couldn't quite make out. But the worst came when they reached the grand staircase. At the top stood a figure. At first, it seemed like a statue, unmoving, cloaked in darkness. But then it turned its head, slowly, its eyes gleaming red. Without thinking, they ran. But no matter how fast they moved, the hallways stretched on endlessly. The doors wouldn't open, and the air grew colder. The laughter started then, distant at first, but getting closer, coming from all directions. Ellie screamed, "We need to find a way out!" But as they turned to flee back toward the entrance, they realized they weren't alone anymore. Shadows flitted through the corners of their vision, darting in and out of the walls, like the very darkness had come alive. One by one, the group vanished. First Marcus, who was swallowed by a shadow that crept up from behind, pulling him into the wall itself. Then Sarah, whose scream echoed for what seemed like hours before fading into silence. Tom and Ellie, trembling with fear, held hands as they raced through the endless maze of rooms. At last, they found a window, cracked open just enough. Tom pushed Ellie through first, but as he tried to follow, something grabbed him from the dark. He was gone before Ellie could scream. She tumbled out into the cold night, the manor looming behind her, its windows gleaming like hungry eyes. Ellie ran back to town, but no one believed her story. The next morning, when the police went to Crowhurst Manor, they found no trace of her friends, only 3 sets of footprints in the dust, and a single doll sitting on the grand staircase, its eyes glowing faintly red. The legend of Crowhurst Manor grew that Halloween, and those who passed it after swore they could still hear the laughter of the children echoing through its empty halls.